Hey there, it's E Squared Photography. I'm Erin.
And I'm Emily, and we are here to keep things simple and fun.
Are you thinking of purchasing a DSLR camera, or maybe you just got one, or you've had one maybe even sitting around for a while? Well, we want to tell you some of the basic pieces that you need to understand and do once you get that in your hands for the first time.
And try to stick around all the way till the end because we have something special that is going to help you with your new camera.
By the end of this video today, you will feel much more confident grabbing your camera and starting to use it at your next photography session.
And remember, every Monday morning we come out with a new educational video that we made just for you. And for the best photography tips and tricks, make sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that bell for notifications of future videos.
So first of all, what does that even stand for? DSLR. DSLR stands for Digital Single Lens Reflex. When you are trying to make sure that you are purchasing a DSLR camera, make sure you read the reviews, read the description, make sure you're buying it off of a site that is reliable, where people actually buy cameras. So for example, where we buy some of our cameras would be, we have bought some from Best Buy. We have also bought some from something called B&H. Those are two companies that we would consider reliable. You can also purchase cameras from Nikon and Canon and Sony websites as well.
Okay, so now you have your camera, whether it's a used camera, a brand new camera to you. The very first thing, whether you like it or not, we're going to tell you to do is to read the camera manual. There are a lot of buttons you don't need to know at all about, but there are a lot of buttons you do want to learn and know about. So read the manual. We cannot stress that enough.
And not only just the buttons on the camera, but also all of the settings within inside of the camera. So a lot of cameras also do, besides taking pictures, they also can do video. Now, if video is something that you don't want anything, you don't need to learn anything about, that's a part that you can probably ignore and really focus on the settings that are meant to be for you. Once you've read through your camera manual, the next step is to really force yourself to learn manual mode because it is so important. There are other modes that you can shoot at, like automatic mode, aperture priority mode on your camera, but learning manual mode is going to give you the images that you want in the end and give you full control as the photographer over the settings that you are going to apply.
Now, if manual mode is super scary to you, or if you've never even heard of it before, within the next month or so, we are going to be doing a free 1-hour training where we're going to teach you and simplify manual mode for you. So follow us along on Instagram up there at esquared.photography to be ready for when that time comes.
And we will keep it extremely simple. We process because that is how we loved to learn manual mode ourselves.
The next important thing is once you've read your manual, you've started playing around with manual mode, it is so important to invest in education, especially if you're looking at using your DSLR camera for photo shoots, charging others for it. Investing in that education is so important. And in a month or so, we are going to be launching our photography course, our shooting and editing photography course, where we dive deep into all aspects of shooting and editing. So stick around for that as well.
All right, so you've read the manual, you've played around a little bit with your settings, you've attempted to learn manual mode, you've maybe invested in some education. The next important piece, and this is so important, is to play around and practice. You can use anything. You can use landscape. You could use flowers that are out in your yard. You could use a stuffed animal. You could use one of your kids or pets. Use anything just as so you can get out and practice. Now, something that we force ourselves to do until this day, we still do, we are getting out in the gross spring of Wisconsin weather where nothing is pretty. We sometimes get out in the middle of winter just to practice new things all of the time. So if you're just starting out, it couldn't be more important to get out there and practice, practice, practice. Play around with those settings. See what they do when you change them.
So now you've learned your camera body. Now you're interested in learning a little bit about what different lenses do. So let's talk about some of our favorite lenses. There is the 35 millimeter, and with this 35 millimeter lens, we use it a lot of time for families because with a 35, you can fit more in the frame of your camera and you don't have to stand far away from your clients. The 50 then is kind of in between the 35 and 85. The 50 is probably our favorite for senior photography, couples photography, even family photography. And then there's the 85 millimeter, and the 85 millimeter is super nice because you get a beautiful bokeh background. But one thing we find is that we really only like to use it with one person, like a senior or maybe a couple, because if we try to use it with a family or a larger group, we have to stand so far away from them. So using it for less people is a lot better, but we love all three of those lenses.
And so lenses are important to not only understand what those numbers mean on them, but you also have options when it comes to lenses. So you can see that we have our three favorite lenses here. You can also purchase zoom lenses, which is going to allow you to alter the millimeter. And then it also is something to think about is what aperture can your lens shoot at? So it's either an aperture or an f-stop. You might hear it as one or the other. But on lenses, you will see a number like f1.8, f1.4, f4.5. Those numbers are really important to consider and to also consider other features that lenses have to offer, like image stabilization or vibration reduction. So reading up on lenses and what all of those different settings on the lens itself means without getting overwhelming is super, super important.
And another tip, once you have that DSLR camera, ask questions, reach out to photographers, any friends you have, join photography groups, and ask people with that same camera body ask them questions that come up as you're trying to play with it and practice and learn things. Ask questions, don't be afraid of that.
All right, like we said before, probably the most important piece once you get the basics down of your new DSLR camera is to practice, practice, practice. So if you could just take a moment right now and comment below what type of camera you are thinking maybe about purchasing, or maybe you have just recently purchased. We want to know.
So we hope that this video was helpful in getting you started and learning what should you do now that you have a DSLR camera. What are some things you should prioritize? Now, one thing we talked about was manual mode and the importance of that. We do have a free training coming up within the next month, but to get you started, we have a free manual mode cheat sheet guide down in the description below that you can get your hands on and you can start learning it even now.
And if you found this video helpful today, make sure to like, subscribe, and share with a friend so we know to make more videos just like this one.
And don't forget to follow us on Instagram at e2photography to learn when that free training comes out for you and our shooting and editing course that you might be interested in. And don't forget, every Monday morning we have a new educational video just for you. We will see you next week.